Hi, it's Michelle. I'm going to do another little video on some self-massage techniques for the neck and some of the tension that we might be having from hunching forward or maybe slumping around in the bad couch and chair situations. So you can use any lotion that you like if you want to use some lotion. If you don't have a good oily lotion, you can use a little even olive oil or coconut oil, which is what I use all the time anyway. And there's just a few things about the neck. The muscles in the front here, if you notice right underneath your jawline, there's sort of a lump that goes all the way down to the point of your collarbone. That is called the SCM. It actually has three muscle attachments. That's what the SCM stands for: sterno, which is your sternum; cleido, which is your clavicle; mastoid, which is the part of the jaw here. So this muscle can get tight, and you can just find it by pressing along your soft tissue here, of course, your throat and trachea. You just gently run your fingers over to get past that, and then as you push to the outside, you'll feel this rope of muscle, this cable here. That's your SCM. So if you just press in, I'm pressing in, out of the neck and in. So let's do that opposite way. In and then pulling out. So I'm on the inside front edge of that muscle, and you can just find what's comfortable. If you have fingernails, you might not be able to do that quite right, but you can use the pad of your thumb instead, and you're just pressing in along the inside edge of that muscle. Just slowly. I don't have any lotion or oil on my neck or my hands right now, and I'm able to do this, and just slowly let your thumb or your fingertips roll down towards the collarbone, and you'll start to feel that loosen up. You might notice some redness. That's called ischemia or ischemia, just from pressure on the skin. So it's just be gentle and slow, and be careful around, you do have some nerves, and you've got some, your windpipe and all that other stuff in here that you should be aware when you're touching yourself. If it hurts or if it feels uncomfortable, move it. Just slide over to the outside more. Okay, so just at your collarbone here, you can go right along the collarbone and just make circles. And that's going to get the base of your SCM and some of the other. There's a bunch of smaller hyoid muscles here in the front of the throat and the neck. There's skinny, long muscles that kind of make it, all the little bits work. But just doing circles, whatever pressure is comfortable. Just do 3 or 4 or 10, however many you want, and then move half an inch or a quarter of an inch out towards the shoulder. As you get towards the outer part, you might notice you feel a harder, it depends upon your muscles, everybody's different, but underneath your clavicle, underneath your collarbone, there's a muscle called subclavius, fancy Latin for under clavicle, under collarbone. So, and you can press just underneath the collarbone and make circles and press into that. You can actually just go back and forth, up and down, back and forth. Just get aware of the muscle tissue. If it's going in this direction and you're running your hands in that direction, technically it's called linear friction, and it just means you're smoothing out those lines of that muscle fiber. If you go up and down or in circles, you're cross fiber friction, which means you're just moving against it and breaking it up. So any tightness, any scarring, scar tissue, any adhesion is the fancy word for knot. So when the tissue gets tight or dehydrated, and you go across it, you're sort of loosening up. If you can imagine a bunch of yarn, and as you go across, they, sort of separate and open up. That's what you're doing with the muscles, the fibers of the muscles. So all the way out to the collarbone end here, which is at the shoulder here, right in front of your shoulder bump. There's like a circular bone here from your shoulder blade that your clavicle hooks into. And I can show a picture in a moment, but let's just continue with that. So underneath the subclavius, you're also going to have part of the pec muscle. The pecs are referred to as pecs because you have two, one on each side, but you also have two on each side. There's pec major and pec minor. So pec major is the big muscle that attaches along the sternum all the way down and all the way up, comes this way into your shoulder and front of the top of the arm. Underneath that is pec minor. That one goes from around the middle section here through to the front of the shoulder blade. So it goes through the shoulder, and it kind of helps if you squeeze the pec minor, which you don't really know to think to do that, but when your body does that for you, your shoulder kind of moves forward. There's other things that do that to move your shoulder forward too. But that is going to loosen up. When you get all of this sort of loosened up, the neck gets softer as well. So you can do that again on the other side, but I'm just going to show the back of this side now. So behind the SCM, we've got some other neck muscles. The main ones being the scalenes, which you might have heard me mention before. And they are front, middle, and back here. So behind the SCM, so you remember feeling that cable? If you push your thumb and you feel that rope, you can actually put your hand on the other side, and you might like feel it go in and out because you're grabbing the skin. But if you get underneath that SCM, you can actually grab that SCM. It's not the most comfortable one, but it will loosen things up with your thumb and your fingers behind it, your thumb in the front, and just kind of shake it, move it, squeeze it. That also will help loosen things up. And then, so as you're at the top, it's kind of a good place to feel the middle SCM, and where your fingertips come around here. This will also be where the side of your spine vertebrae are. So like the vertical lines, that's bones that stick out. The first four of those vertebrae of your neck is where this other muscle that goes down to the back of your shoulder, called levator scapula, fancy Latin for lifting shoulder blade. Those attach there and come down. So that's underneath the scalenes. They're all kind of in there together, muddled up. So if you just kind of put your fingertips behind that big SCM cable and just move front to back, you will get some stuff loosened up. So you can do this on yourself if you are, sequestered with a partner or children or other people. You can also do it on them and sort of try these things on each other. But just moving back and forth, and then slide down a finger's length and slide down. And as you get to the back, you can, depending upon how your body's shaped and worked, but you can press. This is going to be the top of your trapezius, your trap muscle, which is huge, covers your back. But the upper section is up here. And you can just sort of, I like to curl my fingers like this with my thumb, sort of stabilizing it, and cup it around and just press down and roll forward. And you're just going to get that pulled away from the base of the spine a bit, the base of the neck. And you can do that as much as you want. I'm actually using my other hand to stabilize my elbow to kind of give some support here so I don't have to work so hard. And moving all the way up the back of the neck. You can also take your fingertips together in a cupped position and go on the back of your neck, and you're just going to pull back and forth along the neck spine. So I hope you can see this. So starting here, okay. I didn't bother talking while I had my head turned away, but that pulling back and forth, moving up and down the vertebrae of the spine, of the neck, and getting those muscles just moving away from the suboccipital, the base of the skull, and the neck and the back, and just getting some blood flow. Any motion and movement, it's going to loosen things up, get a little blood flow in there, hopefully get a little more, space between your bones and your muscles, and feel a little better, feel a little looser. Okay, I think there's one more thing I want to show you for the front, and this sort of, if you feel comfortable with it, you can take your finger and thumb on either side of, right underneath your chin and your jaw, sort of right down here inside, and just kind of squeeze and press, but just be very gentle. It's just these muscles under the base, under your tongue, under your jaw, and be careful. Come back around to the SCMs, but then underneath the clavicles, under the collarbones, you can also just place your hands with your head comfortably, just relaxed down or facing normal, straight on. Place your hands on your chest here, right under your collarbones, and just sort of press in and pull down, and then reach up with your chin. To stretch the front of your neck. Again, I'm going to press in and stretch up. You can take your hands and do the finger pull along the spine of the front of the ribs here. This is along the sternum, those pectoral muscles I mentioned. I'm going to show you a picture in a moment, but let me just start that, and that's loosening up, and that will help with the back and the shoulders and everything. So, one more thing here is to get the back of your shoulder blades where you always feel that tightness. I think you saw at the end of my neck thing there, I was squeezing in the back. You can do that or do it for someone else. But you can also use the corner of a wall or a door jamb. And I'm going to use the corner of my wall here. So I'm going to lean my back against this corner, and it is, my shoulder blade is right against the wall. Okay, so if I lean back against the wall and just wiggle, I've got my left shoulder blade against this side of the wall, and I'm going to wiggle to the right so that it holds that shoulder blade and stretches those muscles. It's the rhomboids and the trapezius, traps and rhomboids. Don't worry about knowing the names of the muscles if you don't care, but I just find it easier and helpful to know. Okay, so I'm just hanging out on that, and it's pressing in the corner. I can use a door jamb as well. And I'm wiggling back and forth and getting some of those knots pressed and stretched. Now, to get the top, this is something I do. You're just gonna stay where you are. Make sure your feet are away from the wall a bit, and then just sort of lean back so the top of your shoulder gets there. And I'm pulling away. It's holding, the wall is holding my shoulder, and I'm letting my head just kind of flop to the right. I can turn. I showed in another video the looking up and looking down from a side bent neck position, and just pressing in and pulling away so that it stretches those muscles. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, I'm going to pause and get the photos of the picture of the muscles. Okay, so muscles of the neck. This big one here is the SCM that I mentioned, and these are those 3 scalenes, front, middle, and back. This is the trapezius muscle that I mentioned, the upper section, and there's some other stuff that we don't need to worry about right now. Here is showing someone grabbing the SCM of this person. So if you could see the muscle through the skin, it would look like that. And that's the sternocleidomastoid 3 attachments I mentioned. You can see it's strong musculature because we really need to take a lot of movement and brunt of force with our neck movements and just things we do. But there are the arteries and nerves and things within there just why I want you to go slow and steady. Okay. I'm gonna pause again. Okay, I want to show the pec major and minor. Here's the major muscle. You can see how large it is, attaching from the sternum, the clavicle collarbone, and into the front, the bone here of your arm, your humerus bone, along over your ribs. This one's the minor that I mentioned. It attaches from the middle of your chest, goes back through into the front of your shoulder blade. All right, let's see. Yeah, here you can see a little better the pec minor going through. And when it gets real tight, it pinches on some of these nerves and arteries, so that can cause issues. Some of you may be familiar with. Here's another view to see how some of the musculature works there. But anything going along the muscle tissue, stretches things out, going across, breaks it up. So those are things that you can do to help with some neck tightness and tension. I can do another one for some other parts that are close, but I'm just going to add in a little like of the jaw muscles, the masseter. If you press your fingers in, or your thumbs or your knuckles, whatever you like that's comfortable, underneath your jaw, underneath your cheekbone, press in and up, and then open your jaw, drop your chin. That stretches your jaw muscles, the masseter. There are other muscles in there too. But I'm getting that jaw movement, blocking it, so I need to move in a little bit there. So if you're getting this, that's not good. It's not bad, it's just not what you want. You want to be right in front of that jaw hinge and stretch down. So you can also just take your hands from the jawline and push up and out this direction towards your ears, actually toward the top of your ears. Yeah. Making circles along the jawline can help loosen up some of the tension and tightness. We tend to hold tension in our jaws naturally when we're stressed, and most people are stressed. Making circles is always a good thing. You can go all the way up. You can go up into the temples. The temples is actually a muscle that goes all the way up here, temporalis. So if you've been to my massage place, you've had me do this before. Circles, circles, circles. You can put your fingers in and just shake. It always makes people think of what it's like when they pet their dogs. And I'm just putting my fingertips at the top of my crown and moving the scalp back and forth, and then fingertips on the muscles, moving in. Yeah, I'm starting to get my gray showing. It's been a while since I've had hair dye. All right. Okay, there's other videos to do some of the shoulder stretches and things, so I think that will work for today, and I hope that was helpful. You can do the massage. You can even see, I only did this side, and you can see a difference. This side is smoother than this one. So I will probably do my other side here, and you can do the same. And I hope you're staying healthy and well, and I hope to see you soon.